Hello and welcome back to my channel, where today we're going to be recapping Mount Rushmore and the top 5 things I really wish I would have known before I went to the park. Guys, some of these are a doozy. Thanks for coming back and joining me for today's recap. I have 5 things that I really wish I would have known before I went to Mount Rushmore. There were probably more than that, but 5 that I could definitely put my hand on and go, oh my goodness! I hope these are helpful to you in your planning of your trip to Mount Rushmore, and I hope that you enjoy tons of travel along with me on Bunny Plays here, where we play just about everywhere and go on all these really neat road trips. Number 1. This one was kind of a doozy for me and a really tough one for me to swallow. When I got there, I had these plans and theories and ideas of what I was going to see in my head. I had pictured the 4 heads just sitting there peering out at me majestically. What I saw was a big construction fence. Talk about a buzzkill. Yep, that's right. They're doing construction out Mount Rushmore, and that will be going on until late 2020. So what is going on exactly? Well, they're doing some improvements on the visitor center. They're also working on the Avenue of Flags. They're just doing some maintenance that probably is long overdue, but unfortunately, it was happening when I was there. And let me tell you, a little bit of construction goes a long way at one of the most crowded, small tourist destinations in the country. What did that mean for me? Oh, I'm so glad that you asked. Let me just tell you. What that meant for me was a lot of crowds. Like a lot of crowds. Like more than usual crowds. Like, oh my gosh. It was a panic attack just waiting to happen kind of crowds. So basically, on my personal experience, I visited, and the crowd that would normally be taking up about this much space, because the avenue and the walkway and the visitor center and all of that was reduced to about this much space, because this was all that was open in that area. And then there was a big fence, so no one could go past that. That meant for all the people who were in this tiny little area trying to get selfies and trying to eat ice cream and trying to go into the gift shop and pile into limited amounts of space, it became chaos, to say the least. So much chaos, in fact, that I don't feel as though there were enough people who were employed at Mount Rushmore to manage the chaos. And because of that, there were a lot of things you normally wouldn't see in a public space. And by that, I mean that people were bringing in non-service animals when there were clearly posted signs that you're not supposed to, and they were letting them potty in the public spaces, which were very limited already, so it was kind of gross. And then I also noticed that there were a lot of people who were not like paying attention to the few rules that were posted of not getting on the vegetation, and so people were like crawling onto like the trees, and it was just a lot, guys. It was a lot. So until that construction is over, that's what you have to look forward to. Yay! My suggestion for you, if you do happen to be going back before the construction is over, is actually number 2. Be early. I wish I would have thought of that in the first place. I was having such a wonderful day kind of moving through that area that I didn't think about the fact that it would be super crowded as the day progressed. They recommend that you get there between open and 11 to avoid all of those crowds, which I completely understand now after seeing it. Be early. Yeah. Number 3, they do have an evening program. This evening program is very insightful and also awesome. They light up Mount Rushmore, and it's glorious, and it's patriotic. And they ask all the veterans to stand and be honored, and that is so cool, and I love it. But it's only during part of the year. So if you want to go to the evening program, you will want to go between May and September. This will, of course, mean that you're gonna probably hit some of those crowds, but it's okay. It's okay! Number 4. It doesn't matter who you are, you're paying $10. That's right. It doesn't matter if you've served in the Army, if you're disabled, if you're a child, if you're an adult, if you have a park pass, if you don't have a park pass, you will pay $10 to park. And there is no walking in the gate. I asked. I was just curious. What they do is they pay for facility upgrades through this parking, and it's very well managed, and it's a multi-level parking system. It's very nice. I will give them that, but I wasn't expecting when I pulled in with my park pass to be charged $10. That just kind of threw me off, so I really wish I would have known that in advance. However, I also did learn that that parking pass, if you save your receipt, is good for up to 1 calendar year. So you pay once and then you can go back just kind of whenever you want to. Number 5. There are other vantage points. So if you want to avoid those crowds for the most part, you can do so by checking out one of these places. I really wish I would have known that beforehand. So basically, let me kind of give you a visual here. If you're walking in, you walk into the gates and it opens up to a fence and 4 faces in front of you, and that's where you stop. Yeah, that's it. But instead of being one of those people who's lurking by the fence trying to get that selfie when there's 7 million other people, you can, instead of going through this gate, go over to the right. And to the right, you can go down toward the sculpture studio. And when you go down toward the sculpture studio, there's something called the Presidential Trail. The Presidential Trail has multiple stops along the way where you can see the faces and actually be a lot closer than you can up through the gates with the current fence. So I would definitely recommend going there. There's also a cool vantage point that you can see from the sculptor studio itself. It's really neat to go inside and see like the mock-up of them, and then in the window there's all the presidents. That's cool. Wait, there's one more. If you're driving out of the park, instead of going back toward Keystone, you can turn in the opposite direction, and when doing so, there's a little pull-off about a couple miles up the road, and from this pull-off you can see the side profile of Washington. This was a wonderful viewpoint that I discovered kind of by accident, and I was so happy that I did, because after my frustration of being around the park and all of the chaos, I had this pull-off completely to myself. So these are the things that I discovered about Mount Rushmore that I wanted to share with you. I hope that they are helpful in your planning of a future trip and that you had a wonderful time and don't have to hit all of the snares and snags that I did. If you have enjoyed today's video, please make sure that you subscribe. We will be doing these after every national park along the way. We have a lot of them to go because this is kind of a long trip. So check it out. Make sure that you leave your comments if you've ever been to Mount Rushmore. I would love to hear your experience and if my experience was an isolated incident. See you next time, guys. Bye.